Senior Congress leader Sonia Gandhi has sharply criticized the center for not clearly condemning the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Writing in the Indian Express, she argued that India's silence is not neutral but amounts to an abdication of responsibility. Gandhi pointed out that on March 1, Iran confirmed that Khamenei had been assassinated in targeted strikes carried out a day earlier by the United States and Israel. She described the killing of a sitting head of state, especially during ongoing diplomatic negotiations, as a serious break from established international norms. According to her, India's lack of a direct response stands out at a time when global principles are under strain. The Indian government has not issued a formal statement on Khamenei's death. However, it has called for restraint and de escalation in the Middle East. Government sources have said this balanced approach reflects the stance taken by other major world powers and is guided by India's national interest. Gandhi criticized Prime Minister Narendra Modi for initially condemning only Iran's retaliatory strike on the UAE without addressing the sequence of events that led to it. She said that later remarks about deep concern and calls for dialogue ignored the fact that diplomatic engagement had already been underway before the attacks by the United States and Israel. She warned that when the targeted killing of a foreign leader does not draw a firm defense of sovereignty or international law from India, it raises doubts about the direction and credibility of the country's foreign policy. She added that if such action pass without principled objection from the world's largest democracy, it becomes easier for similar breaches of international norms to be normalized. Gandhi also highlighted the timing of events. Just 48 hours before the assassination, Modi had returned from a visit to Israel, where he reiterated strong support for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu despite global criticism over civilian casualties in Gaza. Recalling past diplomatic history, Gandhi noted that in 1994, when members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation attempted to move a resolution against India at the UN Commission on Human Rights over Kashmir, Tehran played a key role in blocking it. That intervention, she said, helped prevent the internalization of the Kashmir issue at a delicate time for India's economy. She also underlined Iran's strategic importance to India. Iran has facilitated India's diplomatic presence in Zahedan near the Pakistan border. This serves as a counterbalance to developments around Gwadar port and the China Pakistan economic corridor. Gandhi reminded the government that in April 2001, then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee visited Tehran and warmly reaffirmed India's deep civilizational and contemporary ties with Iran. She suggested that this history now appears to carry little weight with the present administration. At the same time, she acknowledged that India's relationship with Israel has grown significantly in defense, agriculture, and technology. Because India maintained ties with both Tehran and Tel Aviv, she said it is uniquely placed to urge restraint. However, such diplomatic space demands on credibility, and credibility rests on being seen as guided by principle rather than convenience. Gandhi further stressed the practical stakes involved. Nearly 10 million Indians live and work across the Gulf region. In the past crisis, from the Gulf War to conflicts in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, India has managed to protect its citizens because it was seen as an independent actor rather than aligned with any one side. Finally, she argued that as a country aspiring to represent the global south, India must consider the broader message it sends. If India appears reluctant to defend territorial integrity and international law today, she asked, why should other nations trust it to stand up for them tomorrow? Invoking the idea of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the belief that the world is one family, Gandhi said this philosophy demands a commitment to justice and dialogue, especially when it is difficult. At a time when the rules based global order faces visible pressure, she concluded, silence cannot be mistaken for neutrality. It is a failure to act.